Tonight, ABC News has obtained video of police raiding a small-town Kansas newspaper. The incident raising First Amendment questions. At issue, a tip a reporter received about a story the paper never published. Authorities are defending the raid. Tonight, the newspaper says its 98-year-old co-owner died one day after the raid because of the stress she suffered.
Okay, let me break this story down because it is insane what happened with this newspaper and how the judge is implicated, the police chief is implicated. It is a total mess. Okay, so let's just jump into it. See, the reporters from the Marion County Record, a local newspaper in Kansas, was looking into allegations of police misconduct and special treatment. Now, the first story that they were looking into was about a local shop owner named Kari Newell. Now, the newspaper was looking into allegations that Newell was still driving her car, even though her license had been suspended for the past 14 years for a prior DUI arrest, and that police were turning a blind eye to Newell's driving as a form of special treatment because she was a local shop owner.
Meyer says the paper obtained information that a local restaurant owner had a DUI and was driving without a license for 14 years. That owner says the information was obtained illegally, while Meyer said it was provided by a source and confirmed by public record.
Now, the paper was also investigating the newly crowned police chief about whether or not the police chief had left their previous job over allegations of sexual misconduct.
The paper was also investigating allegations the new police chief, Gideon Cody, had left his previous job with the Kansas City Police to avoid a demotion for alleged sexual misconduct.
Now, Newell and the police chief seem to have been tight. Here's a picture of the Marion County Record reporters being removed from a public meeting in Newell's coffee shop where the police chief also attended. Now, the police were claiming that the newspaper reporters had committed identity theft and other computer crimes to get the information about these investigations, and police had decided to get a search warrant for the newspaper to obtain both computers and electronic devices. They searched the offices of both the newspaper and the home of the owners of the newspaper. Here's what happened.
The search warrant accused reporters of identity theft and computer crimes while reporting on local restaurant owner Kari Newell for a story that didn't run. Newell told the city council the paper illegally obtained her driving record, which included a DUI.
Now, to add insult to injury, police also searched the home of the newspaper's 98-year-old owner. Here's the video.
Meyer, right?
Yes.
Calling Eric Meyer.
Don't you touch any of that stuff.
Ma'am, you're wasting your breath.
This is my house.
I know. You're wasting your breath. Ma'am,
Get out of here. You asshole.
We'll be out of here pretty quick.
Get them out of here. They're here. You done. Your mother loved you. You love your mother. You're an asshole. Police chief. You're the chief. Oh, God. Get out of my house. You're pet patrol. Get out. Stand outside. You can stand outside that door and you still see them. I don't want you in my house. I don't want you. You do not take them. What?
We're not passing along. That's a business cost route. It has no
What?
Legal message after.
Is there another one downstairs, another computer?
Thank you.
We never went down there and he stayed up here the whole time.
Well, that was yeah. What's he doing over there going through the papers?
How many computers do you have in the house, ma'am?
I'm not going to tell you. Get out of my way.
It's all right.
I want to see what they're doing.
Well, they're working.
I don't care what they're
So you
doing.
can go on through if you want.
What are you doing? Those are personal papers.
Ma'am, those aren't papers, they're electronic devices, which is what the judge said that we're supposed to take. Okay?
You people.
Now, the next day, that woman died, and the family says it was because of the stress of the raid.
Kansas newspaper is in the national, even international spotlight tonight.
Yeah, it was raided on Friday for a story that never published. Now, what you're looking at is video from inside that newspaper during the raid. The next day, the co-owner of the paper died. Joan Meyer was 98 years old. Her son believes that the raid was a contributing factor in his mother's death.
So now, with any search warrants, eventually the DA's office has to review them. And the DA's office reviewed this search warrant and found that there was insufficient evidence to justify this search warrant. And it was also revealed that the judge who signed that search warrant also had multiple DUI arrests. Here's that report.
The warrant that cleared the way for the search of the Marion County record has now been withdrawn, with the county attorney citing, quote, insufficient evidence. The paper's probe into a local restaurant owner's drunk driving record was reportedly the key motivator for the raid. And it's now been reported that Judge Laura Villar, who signed off on that search warrant, has her own history of 2 DUIs just 8 months apart back in 2012.
Now, it's getting even more insane because now Kansas state officials are investigating the lawfulness of this warrant, because it seems like everyone involved in this thing had some type of conflict of interest when it came to either DUI arrests, involvement with police, or something. Check this out.
The Kansas Bureau of Investigations has launched a probe into last week's police raid on the newsroom of a local newspaper and the home of its publisher and co-owner, Eric Meyer. Police seized computers, hard drives, servers, and phones. Eric Meyer lived with his 98-year-old mother, Joanne Meyer, who was co-publisher of the family-owned newspaper, the Marion County Record. One day after the police raid, Joanne Meyer died at her home. The paper blamed her death on the police raid, saying it had left her, quote, stressed beyond her limits.
So now this has become such a hot button issue. Even local residents went to the city council meeting demanding that the police chief be fired over these events. Check it out.
As far as Chief Cody goes, he can take his high horse he brought into this community and giddy up on out of town. The man needs to go. He should have been fired.
Now, the owners of the local newspaper have pledged to file a federal lawsuit for violation of their First Amendment rights and their Fourth Amendment rights against unreasonable searches and seizures.
Tonight, there are important questions about the First Amendment following a police raid on a small-town newspaper in Kansas. The publisher tells us he's planning a federal lawsuit against the police department. More than 30 news organizations, including CBS News, have condemned the raid.
Everyone has to be protected against unlawful search and seizure. You have to justify that there's no other way to get something other than to intrude in somebody's house, to seize their property.
Federal law protects journalists, requiring police to subpoena any materials in most criminal investigations. But Marion police defended the raids, saying the law does not apply when journalists, quote, themselves are suspects in the offense that is the subject of the search.
So let's break down, what do you need generally for a search warrant? Well, you need what's known as probable cause, that a crime has been committed. What does probable cause mean? Well, this means that based on the facts and circumstances available to you, that a reasonable person would reasonably believe that a crime had been committed or was being committed. Now, in this particular case, the DA's office is saying there was insufficient evidence, meaning essentially that there was likely no probable cause for the search warrant. Now, the DA's office has withdrawn the search warrant and is returning the property to the news organization. Now, just to be clear, all of these are allegations and not facts, and hopefully a court of law will determine both the legitimacy of the search warrant and the claims of abuse of process by law enforcement. Now, even though the local prosecutor's office claimed that there was insufficient evidence for the search warrant, the Kansas Department of Revenue states that the search warrant was legal and it was based off the facts and evidence that was presented at that time. So it's interesting because here we have a little quandary, right? The Kansas City Department of Revenue and the police department are saying, hey, everything was good with the warrant and we have probable cause to do this, while the prosecutor's office and the people whose things were taken are saying that no, this wasn't legitimate. This was, there was insufficient evidence for a search warrant. But where do you come out? Let me know in the comment section. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.